Justin Gaethje captured the BMF title at UFC 291. Saturday, July 29th, the UFC headed to Delta Center in Salt Lake City, Utah, for UFC 291. Justin Gaethje put on one of the best performances of his career, and revenged his 2018 loss to Dustin Poirier. The first round was very competitive with both fighters landing good shots, giving the impression that both fighters would have a long night fighting. But in the first minute of the second round, Gaethje stopped Poirier cold with a devastating BMF height light reel head kick that brutally sent Poirier unconscious to the canvas, making Justin Gaethje the second BMF champion in UFC history. Here's what some fighters, including Conor McGregor, had to say on Twitter about Gaethje's victory over Dustin Poirier. Justin Gaethje's insane bonus streak continues, and the fighter has won another performance of the night bonus. And his win over Poirier perhaps has delivered the best knockout of the year so far. Gaethje has been awarded 12 fight night bonuses and 12 UFC appearances, and are most of any fighter in the company. The highlight nickname suits this fighter very well, and there is no one more deserving of holding the UFC BMF title now than Justin Gaethje. What do you think? Should Gaethje fight the winner of Islam Makhachev and Charles Oliveira? And who do you think are other BMF fighters in the UFC right now? Alex Pereira defeated Jan Blachowicz in a split decision in the co-main event at UFC 291. And the fighter wants his next fight to be for the UFC's vacant light heavyweight belt. The former UFC middleweight champion is hoping to be one of the two fighters the UFC will book to determine a new light heavyweight champion, since the champion Jamal Hill recently vacated the belt after suffering an injury. Pereira's rise to the top in MMA has been quite rapid. Although the fighter has an extensive background in kickboxing, his win over Blachowicz this past Saturday was just his 10th professional MMA fight. It is still unclear what the promotion is planning to do with the vacant light heavyweight belt. But Pereira was clear on his post-fight interview that he wants his next fight to be for the UFC's vacant light heavyweight title. Jan Blachowicz was also looking for a title shot after his fight with Alex Pereira, and the fighter wasn't happy with the judge's decision. In an Instagram post after the fight, Jan expressed his displeasure with the result, writing, "Bunch of thieves, they robbed me. Anyway, thank you for the support. I'll be back." What do you think? Were the judges correct in this split decision? And who do you think should fight next for the vacant UFC light heavyweight belt? The fight between Derrick Lewis and Marcos Rogerio de Lima was bumped up to the pay-per-view card after the fight between Wonderboy Thompson and Michel Pereira was scraped from the card, due to Pereira not making weight. Pereira weighed in at 174 pounds for the welterweight bout against Thompson, who successfully weighed in at 170.5 pounds. Right after the ceremonial weigh-ins, Wonderboy went to social media and explained why he decided against accepting the fight against Pereira. "I made weight this morning as I have done every fight during my 11-plus-year UFC career. My opponent did not," Thompson wrote. "This isn't the first time I've had an opponent miss weight, and given how that played out previously, myself and my team felt that it's ultimately not smart for us to move forward with this fight." Lewis took advantage of the situation and only needed 33 seconds to finish Marcos de Lima. Lewis ran across the cage for a flying knee at the opening bell, and follow up with punches till the referee was forced to stop the bout. In celebration to his quick stoppage, Lewis immediately removed his trunks and danced in his gray compression shorts, making the crowd go wild. This was Lewis' last fight in his UFC contract. The fighter reiterated in his post-fight presser that he wants to remain a UFC fighter, and that's not surprising. The promotion obviously will want him to stay fighting for them cause he is a fan favorite and just had a spectacular finish. What do you think is next for Lewis? Should the fighter sign a new contract with the UFC, or should he try to make more money fighting Francis Ngannou, for instance, in PFL? Former interim UFC champ and fan favorite, Tony Ferguson, suffered his 6th straight loss, this time against Bobby Green at UFC 291. Bobby choked Ferguson out cold with just seconds remaining in their lightweight bout. Bobby sent Tony Ferguson's career into an even deeper spiral than it already was. Now at 39 years old, there are a lot of questions about El Cucui's future with the promotion, and where he is going after another devastating loss. we can't definitely tell the answer for this question here. If he doesn't want to retire and the UFC won't release him, the promotion is contractually obligated to offer him fights. Should Tony Ferguson still fight her, or should the fight retire his gloves? And what is next for the winner Bobby King Green? Kevin Holland won his welterweight bout against Michael Chiesa in impressive fashion. He won the bout in the first round by Darce choke submission. Chiesa took his gloves off in the cage after the fight, leading fans to speculation about his fighting future. But the fighter went on social media to clear the air moments after the bout, making a statement he is not done yet. Well, that sucked, Chiesa wrote on Instagram. Congrats to Trailblazer and his team. Kevin is a hell of a fighter, one of the most game fighters in combat sports. I knew this was a very challenging opponent to face coming off almost a 2-year layoff, but I've never said no to a fight. I'll dust myself off, get back in the gym and get back to work. I ain't done yet. Holland is best known as a striker, but the fighter has no problem showing off his grappling skills from time to time. This was probably the best way for Holland to win the fight against a grappling specialist like Chiesa. The oddmakers had Holland as plus 1,000 winning by submission in the first round. In this way, the fighter from Texas could show the fans he is not only a striker. Holland has now bounced back with 2 straight finishes over Michael Chiesa and Santiago Ponzinibbio as he continues to rise up the ranks at welterweight. But after the fight, Holland revealed intentions to move back up to middleweight, where the weight cut is much easier on the fighter. What do you think? Should Holland stay at welterweight where he is finding much success, or should he move back to middleweight? And who do you want to see him fight next? Patricky Pitbull advanced to the Bellator lightweight Grand Prix semifinal. Patricky Pitbull stopped current rising champion Roberto Satoshi and advanced to the Bellator lightweight Grand Prix semifinal. Satoshi replaced AJ McKee on less than a week's notice and attempted to take the fellow Brazilian down, but Pitbull was able to defend the attacks fairly easily to continue landing the better strikes on the feet. In the third round, Satoshi went down in pain due to calf kicks, forcing the referee to stop the fight. Pitbull advances to face Alexander Shabliy in the lightweight tournament semifinal. In the co-main event bout, former Bellator and rising bantamweight titleholder, Kyoji Horiguchi, unintentionally poked Makoto Shinryu in the eye. The fighter was not able to proceed fighting, and the bout was pronounced a no contest, so Bellator will have to wait a little longer to crown the first flyweight champion in the promotion's history. Check out the result of the fights. Chihiro Suzuki stops Patricio Pitbull in round 1. Suzuki and Pitbull agreed to a meet in a lightweight bout on less than a week's notice for Super RIZIN 2. And the fighter from Japan was able to land 2 brutal right hands that knocked the Bellator's featherweight champion out cold in the first round. This was probably the biggest upset in RIZIN history, where Suzuki came in as a big underdog. Suzuki is now undefeated in his past 7 RIZIN fights, having a no contest against Kleber Koike, after the Brazilian fighter missed weight. And Pitbull has now lost 2 in a row for the first time in his career. The rising featherweight title was made vacant following Koike's weight miss, and Vugar Karamov captured it by forcing Japanese superstar Mikuru Asakura to tap to a rear naked choke in round 1. In the co-main event, Bellator veteran Juan Archuleta fought for the bantamweight belt and became the first American to win a rising title by defeating Hiromasa Ujakubo by unanimous decision. A third championship bout had Saika Izawa successfully defend her atomweight belt by submitting Claire Lopez with a ninja choke in only 65 seconds. Check the complete Super RIZIN 2 results.